Hey now, AdamReverFU-Tone.com here saying check out Nez Says.
Oh, sorry. We're live.
We are.
And, yeah. And you tune in to Nez Says, a place where musicians can get together and inspire each other to play more of these things behind me, guitars. How you doing, Ty?
I'm good, Dave. Good to see you.
Yeah, same here. Been a long
Hey,
week.
Ben.
Ty, great to see you. You know, normally this time of year, I'm down in your part of the world.
I started to say, yeah.
But didn't make it down, obviously, because I'm here still in the Great White North. But it's not so great and white right now. Well, it's still great. But white? No. It's 85 degrees, high humidity with a slight breeze. I'm in your country.
Wow. Well, it's actually warmer where you are than it is here today.
Wow. Yeah. Great. I was out, getting that sunshine, a little vitamin D action, and then come on inside. Sun's going down. Mosquitoes are coming out. Let's come in and talk guitars and inspire each other.
Absolutely.
Amen.
We create gas. Yep. Sorry. It happens. But we have the cure, too.
I love gas. I love the G part of gas anyway.
Yeah.
Or actually the A part, the acquisition part of it.
Yeah, I started to say you're pretty good at that part.
Yeah, not bad. It's slowing down a bit, but I'm pretty good at it.
He could go professional, Ty, except he's keeping his amateur status for the Olympics.
Love it, man. Ben, I tuned into your shows this week, man. Great content this week.
Thank you very much, my friend. Yeah, I was hanging with Scott Brockway on Sunday night there. We were talking pedals. He's got quite the collection. You think I got a lot of pedals. That guy's got a lot of pedals. He repairs them, mods them, all kinds of cool stuff. And then Monday night hanging out with, Terry's 3Gs doing the Canucks with Guitar show, and we were doing our own live Q&A. I don't think we inspire quite as much as we do over here. And the answers, well, imagine when I'm giving half the answers instead of only a third. So, sure. Man, I'm looking. We got quite the crowd in the chat already. We've got the one, the only, Fruitcake Tony. We've got Absolute Mayhem. I was hanging out with him on the phone earlier today. Of course, Terry 3Gs. James Pava's in the house. Thomas Santiago. Randy Crooks. Kurt 5150. Wow, all kinds of folks in here. Some guy named Terry Price, never heard of him. Michael B., who's going to be hanging out with me this Sunday on my birthday hang. Cool. Papa Blue is here. Some guy named Nez Says, again, never heard of him. Some guy named Ben Coombs, never heard of him either. And that's it. Well, StreamYard. StreamYard's here. Perfect, because they allow us to do what we do.
That's right.
I think that's everybody.
Hey, Thomas. Hey, Mayhem. Good to see you. Kurt, good to see you, man. Randy. Yeah, Ben, really love the show. Pedals are something that I tend to have an affinity for. I tend to have to try everything, right? But I always tend to gravitate toward the same pedals over and over and over again. Do you have that? I mean, what do you tend to collect as a pedal? Things that you acquire that you don't get rid of.
I got into clones, because there's 101 of them. So like that's not like some people collect delays or overdrives or fuzzes. I'm like clone circuit. That's my thing. Like some people want to go after tube screamers or 808s and that whole family of circuitry. And for me, it's clones or good luck if I'm at a used guitar show and there's a pedal table with a phaser on it. It's really hard to walk by that table. I love phasers.
What is your favorite clone? What is your favorite clone?
My favorite clone. Well,
Hey,
I'm
Lars.
looking at one of them off screen. I'm not allowed to talk about till July 29th, Ty. However, bang for the buck. You cannot go wrong. There it is. Because it was shelf worthy even. I think this is it. Is this the one? Yeah. A company by the name of Mosky, which, it's like one of those jungle website pedal companies. Little, they're, what do they call this? The Golden Horse? Dude, this thing sounds great.
Small
I love
footprint too. Yeah.
A little gainier than, let's say, compared to your mass-produced clone, your electroharmonic soul food, for instance.
Right.
This one's got a little more bottom end to it, a little more gain. That's all I want.
Sounds like it's right up my alley. The one thing that I didn't like about the original Klon was, it's not supposed to be a gainy pedal. It's supposed to be pretty much a boost, just a boost pedal, like a clean boost with a little bit of hair on it.
Right.
But a Klon sounding pedal with a little bit of gain on it got my name written all over it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like that circuit sounds great. Can you just, make that gain knob go a little further? Because I love everything prior, just a little more. And some people have that. And the other one, like that I can't talk about, so we'll just censor it. This is another Klon style circuit from our friends over at LPD Pedals. Well, our friends, plural, Lawrence, my main operation. Active bass circuit control. So at noon, takes it right out of the circuit. It's your regular style Klon. You can then remove, although I don't know why you'd want to, or add bass control to it. And this one actually has slightly less gain than an original Klon. Very slightly less, although he's tweaking on that because, again, it's not out till July. Not that I'm
Tony says, Ty, we won't see the inside of Bank of America Stadium. That's in Charlotte, North Carolina, by the way, until 2022. I know. I'm disappointed. I'm not. We're going to talk a little bit about that tonight because there's been more than 40 tours announced for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Yet the big rock stadium tour that I was looking forward to the most has been postponed until 2022.
Oh, it's terrible.
Papa Blue just bought one of the Donner Dumble drives. It's a little weaker TS 808 with 3 selection switch. Nice. And the Mosky Plexi. I want to try that one too. I've heard good things about that little pedal.
Mm-hmm. I like overdrives. I like the Klon. I like the Klon a lot.
Right?
Yeah. How much was it?
I think they're like $30, on Amazon or something like that. So why not? And the great thing is, it's not like, a $200 pedal that all of a sudden is worth $100 and a quarter, $130. These things, you can still sell them for $20 if you didn't like it. So you're at $10. Well, that's a movie, right?
Right.
On cheap night.
Rental fee. It's a rental fee is what it is.
Exactly.
Hey, Guitar Man 45, good to see you. Hardwood Steaks, good to see you as well.
Yeah, Hardwood Steaks.
I love overdrive pedals. I feel like I have to try them all, and there's always so many of them to try. David, what is your favorite clone?
Oh, my favorite is probably the Archer, the gold Archer.
That's mine.
That's a great
from J-Rad. It's by far my favorite clone. But Ty, I know you have an original Klon. I used to have one. I should never have sold. No, I sold it for a mint. But there is, there is something about the Klon in where the mid range is. It's just, it's the only. I mean, even the clones get it close, but they don't quite have the mid range in the same exact spot.
Right.
I mean, there's something about the Klon mid-range is so pleasing to the ear. It like warms the heart. As silly as that sounds, when you're playing, an open E chord with a Klon pedal on, there's this warming that goes on. It's like, oh wow, that's just really that's like chocolate pudding. Oh,
and it seems to work with any amp too.
Yeah.
Like certain pedals do like certain amps more, but yeah. Hey, we got Andrew from the British
Hey,
Electric
Andrew.
150 show.
I love
New
Andrew's
Zealand in the
channel.
house.
I love Andrew's channel. I love his content. I always go back and watch it in replay every
Yeah,
week.
we should have him on here at some point.
I would love
Yeah.
you to come on, Andrew, and thank you so much for all the content. I really enjoy.
Mhm.
I really enjoy watching your channel.
Yeah, he's watching from work. I had a feeling. I was like, I think it's the middle of his workday right now, so he's lurking while working.
Ouch. But my other favorite, my guilty pleasure, and it's not even guilty. I love tremolo pedals.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I go looking everywhere for tremolo pedals to just find the best of the best.
Cool. Yeah,
Thanks for sharing.
I don't have a lot of tremolo pedals. In fact, I think I have maybe 2. I have 2, maybe 3. I've not tried a lot of that. That's generally a fact that doesn't really enter my world anymore.
I think that's really it, because I was just thinking about it. Like so many people take that circuit for granted. Well, it's an on-off thing. Like, who cares? No, there is a lot to them.
Yes, there is.
They do shape tone.
In my gigging experience, I tend to keep the tremolo pedal on all the time underneath for rhythm playing only. When you're in a cover band, when you're in a blues rock and blues cover band, and you have 2 guitar players, it doesn't really make sense for 2 guitar players to really be doing the same thing. So what I like to do is put the tremolo pedal on and act like an organ.
Sure. Yeah, I was thinking that, because you can strum it away, or you could just let it roll.
Yeah, let the other guy be the guitar player. I'll be the organ, and then when it's solo time, you both take solos, and it makes it fun for me because I get to make a guitar sound like something that it's not.
Oh, I love doing that.
Yeah. Dave, what do you tend to collect pedal wise?
Pedal wise, overdrives, and I have and also vibe pedals. I collect vibe pedals.
Oh man. Okay. So I'm always looking for a cool vibe pedal, because I'll get one and I'll think it's super cool for a minute, and then I fall out of love with it.
It's like me with phasers.
So what is your favorite vibe right now, Dave?
The Unicorn by JHS.
Yeah, that's a good one. Nice.
But my all-time favorite vibe pedal, if it's not going to be a vintage one, is going to be the Sweet Sound Ultra Vibe. Now it's a big pedal, and generally they're multicolored. They're swirled. The paint job is a swirled paint job, like you find on the Steve Vai Ibanez guitars. But the sound of them, they are so smooth. I find that most vibe pedals of today are very grainy sounding.
Yeah.
I mean, they do vibey things, but they're very grainy. They're not really smooth. Like,
they don't have that smoothiness.
You listen to Hendrix play with a vibe pedal, and it's so smooth.
Yeah.
And it just got this thing. And if I can make a vibe pedal sound like that, then it's a good vibe. And this Unicorn pedal absolutely does that. If I had a complaint at all, I only wish the rate button, the rate knob, was big enough to use my foot on to turn it with.
Sure.
But it's not a very small pedal. So you got to give up something.
I love
the sound is amazing.
I love the way Kenny Wayne Shepherd uses a vibe pedal. For a modern day player, I don't know anyone that uses it better than he does. I love the Hendrix thing, as you all know. I'm always in search of a really cool vibe pedal. I tend to collect wahs.
Yeah, you do.
It's my favorite pedal, and it's I every time one comes out, I have to try it, and It's just me. There are a couple of things. Papa says Anderson's did a Klon shootout. Very interesting. Wampler beat the real thing. I know that Wampler pedal very well.
Popular pedal.
I own that pedal. It's a fantastic pedal. 6-string Brian, good to see you, man. We're talking about overdrives. All right. I love this. Tried and true.
That's a classic.
Boss SD1 with a JCM 800. That is money right there. I mean, that is money tone.
The yellow right there, the yellow Boss SD1.
I love that SD1.
Through an 800, you're absolutely right. It is the quintessential sound of what a great Marshall would sound like.
No question. That's it right there. Taylor 315.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I have kind of got into there, that way. Those are all Boss pedals, all up there, there. And that was just happenstance. Like, you watch the Sunday show. I say, I don't seek out Boss pedals that much, but they've sold a ton of them over the decades, which is
for
great.
A reason.
So great for
a reason. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I throw out trades, half of them come in, like I'll throw this up on trade and somebody say, hey, I'll give you this, taking, all right, sure, done.
The Boss SD1, I have a pedal board right here, playing with a new project that I've been playing with now for a minute. I'm using a Boss SD1 to boost a Marshall-like amp, a Marshall-inspired amp. I just love that. Taylor 315, good to see you, man. He says, Ty, do you have a favorite amp that you like to play live? Yeah. Some of you know that I play a lot of country music. I play a Friedman Books and Betty combo on that gig whenever I'm allowed to play a real amp. And then for most other applications, my favorite amp to play live is a Friedman small box.
Both good choices.
That's hands down my favorite sounding amplifier. I just can't wait to get one.
You were gigging with a Dirty Shirley for a while, right, Dan?
I was, for about a year. I want to say in around 2015. We were doing a bunch of outdoor summer local gigs, but outdoors. And man, that Dirty Shirley was great. But then I there comes a time when you need clean sound, and you really can't get a crystal clean sound out of it. That being said, you turn your volume down, it'll clean up. It cleans up nicely, but there are times when you need like that crystal clean sound with chorus and delay and all the chimey stuff. Like if you're doing a U2 song, like Where the Streets Have No Name, you really can't have any hair on it. Well, you can. I mean, there's no such thing as you can't, but it just doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound like the original song. You can do anything you want with anything you want. Honestly,
that's right. That's true.
So who am I to say you can't do this, you can't do that? Of course you can if you want to. But a Dirty Shirley amp does 70s rock amazingly, does any type of rock and roll amazingly, does the blues amazingly. But when you need the clean, when you need the ultra clean, it comes a little short, but it's not meant to do that. So I had to figure something out. And plus, also, it was a super duper expensive amplifier to be knocking around 4 to 5 nights a week, and heavy, real heavy as well.
I'm sitting here looking to the left at the dents and the marks on my head right here, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Hey, James. James
coming
here.
So I sold that amp while it was still in good shape, and have had several Fender style amps since then, which, with a pedal board that I I'm a pedal board guy. Yeah. I get all the different gains that I want, and it sounds great. Nowadays, pedals sound like amp distortion, and most of the pedals on my pedal board sound like, good amp distortion. It doesn't sound fake. So, you can get away with having a good clean platform and using pedals on top of it.
James Gum has a good question right here. He says, hey, Dave, can you pop this question up on the screen? Because it's kind of long. It says, hey, guys, have any of you gentlemen ever owned the Schultz-Rockman Rack Effects? Recently got a refurbished distortion generator. Sounds unbelievably authentic through one of my favorite clean amps, the Roland JC120.
Well, that's the thing. That Roland JC120 is probably the best clean sounding amplifier ever.
My Lord.
Ever made. And the chorus on that
is amazing.
I wish they could put that in a box.
Yeah. I love the Schultz-Rockman stuff. Yeah. I'm sorry, Ben, I didn't.
Well, Boss has tried to take the circuit and put it in a pedal, but it's never quite the same. It needs to be integrated right in,
We're going to talk about the JC120, but real quick, let's talk about the Boss Wazacraft CE2 chorus, because that chorus pedal has a switch on it that gives you the old CE1 chorus.
Right.
It's all over. That's hands down my favorite chorus pedal because I loved the CE1. But the problem with the old CE1s is that there was, they had hair on it. It was a little distorted.
Yeah, they were a little noisy.
Now, this Wazacraft CE2 makes the sound of a CE1 without the distortion in it. Right. And it is ridiculous. It is so good.
Yeah, my first pedal board, so we just covered three pedals on my very first pedal board I ever had. So it was guitar into a wah, into one of the old Dunlop Rotovibes, into an SD1, into a Boss CH2, to a JCM 800. That was nice. That was the rig.
I have two choices for chorus pedals. My OG CE2, which had that thing, I don't know, 30 years at this point. And then it only came off the board, the home board, because I took that off the gigging board some time ago. But I picked this up, I don't know, a year and a half ago. Well, last time I was out in California. And that's stereo chorus. I love this thing. Love it.
Now, is that thing noisy at all or no?
No, quite quiet. And I do use the EQ circuit, which does give it a bit of a boost too, which is nice because you get to reshape the EQ a bit. Because, some choruses can be a little mid-humpy and you can dial that in or out. And I love the intensity feature because it's like a blend. I keep it down at 9 o'clock. That's your Eddie kind of diver downy type, amount of intensity. And then add more gain, dial up the intensity to the 3 o'clock position, and there's Zach Wild.
Nice.
Now, is the blue analog chorus that MXR makes, is that inspired by the pedal you just had in a different footprint?
I think that's the newer design. I think the original analog chorus was, the blue 5-knobber. And it was a vertical style enclosure.
Yeah.
I've never actually had my hands on one of those. For whatever reason, I haven't got one of those yet. On the list. Definitely on the list.
Now, the chorus pedal that's on my board is the Wazacraft Boss Dimension C.
Cool.
Great pedal.
I love it because, first of all, if you've ever heard, and I'm sure everyone has, the opening guitar riff to Purple Rain, that chorus is from the Roland Dimension D, which is on this pedal. And it sounds, that's my favorite chorus sound ever. I mean, those opening chords with that chorus sounds
the much cheaper version.
The
Dimensions, which is great. I do like this because you can press more than one button at once too.
Yeah, same with the Dimension.
Yeah. Which I think the original, not the Waza, but remember Boss did do a Dimensions before, but I think it was only a 1-button deal. And that was one of the things they incorporated because they're like, no, you got to have the multi-button option.
Yeah.
Yeah, this thing lived on my board when I got it a couple years ago too. Flipside Music out of Denver. Great used pedal selection.
Hey, Dwight Bailey.
Hey, Dwight.
So getting back to the question of has any one of us tried the Tom Schultz pedals or rack units?
Yes,
I personally have not. I have not. I used to have the Rockman.
Yeah, me too.
The box. I've had many of those, but I've never had a rack unit. But I've had friends that have used it for gigging. The chorus pedal and the whole unit with the overdrive and chorus on it, and they sounded great. They really sounded
amazing.
Great. Yeah,
I mean, they're inspiring to play. I mean, you feel like a different player with that effect. I do.
You know, I've always been aware of the Rockmans. Never got my hands on one to try even, but last year, because we had all heard about them, we kind of know what they were, but it was RJ Ronquillo when he put out a video on, because he picked up a Rockman last year. And he had me because the first thing he played on the video was the song Hysteria. And I'm like, yep, there's the tone.
That's it.
And, and of course I knew it was, but then, I like Boston, but honestly, I like Def Leppard better. And that's what with the winter, I'm like, oh, right. And I totally forgot about that side of things.
Yeah, it
was all Rockman.
That's that whole record.
Yep.
The whole record is that little thing.
All right.
Hey, Marshall Stacks. Great name.
How are you?
That's a cool name.
That's a great question, Marshall Stacks says, great show, guys. New guy here. What advice would you give a pentatonic player that needs to have his solo playing spiced up? I'm directing this primarily to Ty to start with, because I'm also a pentatonic player that wouldn't mind spicing up his solo playing a little bit.
Well, I'm a pentatonic player too. What advice would you give a pentatonic player that needs to have his solo playing? Well, a couple of things. When I think about the pentatonic scale, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind, all right, so I'll take it into a minor pentatonic context, since that's probably where most of us begin, right? Because we're rock players. The blues scale, adding that flat 5 is a great way to add some spice. And
great idea.
There's also a couple of really easy, if you really understand the pentatonic scale and you play and you can play all 5 shapes of the pentatonic scale across the neck, there's some really easy ways that you can mix in. I guess it's really, like superimpose pentatonics on top of other things. So, what would be the best way for me to
say, like, in doing some of the mixing the major and minor together?
Mixing major and minor would be great. I like that, especially on top of a major chord. I like the major minor pentatonic thing. That's great. If I'm thinking more about it like a minor, hang on. Maybe I should just do this. Hang on. Maybe the best way to.
There's Joe Herbie.
Do you know about using the so you have a root note in A minor pentatonic, right? It's the A, right? Do you know about using the 5th of that pentatonic scale, the E? So if I'm playing a chord A minor 7, right? That's a 1, a flat 3, a 5, and a flat 7, right? I can play A minor pentatonic on top of that, right? But the 5th of A minor, the 5th of the A minor, the 5th note in the A minor scale is an E. You can superimpose E minor pentatonic on top of that A minor 7 chord, and the reason that works is, like, if I take the A minor scale, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I want to answer this question because it's a good.
Hey, I'm loving this, and I'm thinking already, Dave, we need to get Ty a whiteboard.
So the A minor scale, I got a piece of paper right here, and I'm going to apologize for my penmanship.
Blue magic marker on a whiteboard.
Yeah.
So the A minor scale is made up of an intervallic formula. Okay, intervals are the distance between 2 notes. That's all that means, right? So it's not hard. And so I just wrote this out. So here's the chord. Can you see this? Here's the chord, A minor 7, right? And then here's the A minor scale. You got a root, you got a second or a ninth, same thing. Flat third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, flat sixth, flat seventh. That's your formula for the A minor scale, right? So if I put note values to each of those, that's an A, a B, a C, a D, an E, an F, and a G, right? So that's how the A minor scale lays out, right? So A minor pentatonic, A minor penta is 5 notes of that, right? So it's the root, the flat 3, the perfect fourth, the perfect fifth, and that flat 7. So that transcribes into A, C, D, E, and G, right? So that's where the pentatonic scale comes from. It comes from that bigger A minor scale. And then the A minor pentatonic, right? Not hard. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that shape
I
one,
now know it.
right? Now, check this out. So the fifth of that, the fifth right here, E, got to go backward in the camera. E right there. So check this out. E minor pentatonic, and you're like, how can that work? This is so cool, right? Because it's going to give you this really interesting kind of E minor pentatonic is really, you know, kind of the same formula, of course, but it's going to give you this this kind of 9 feel. It's gonna kind of add it, because the notes in E minor pentatonic are E, which is your root, your flat 3 is a G, perfect fourth is an A, your fifth is a B, and your flat 7th is a D, right? All of those notes are in the A minor scale. Dang. But this B right here is not in your A minor pentatonic. So that's your 9th. So it gives you this really cool kind of 6/9 feel.
This is cool.
And so that gets kind of spicy. So think of it this way. I'm playing an A minor 7 and you solo with an A minor pentatonic. I play another 4 bars of A minor 7, and now you solo in E minor pentatonic. Now you've got this 6/9 feel to it. And you're adding a little spice into that. Right? And then if you really want to get sexy, go to the second interval in the scale, which is your B, right? And play B minor pentatonic. Okay? Play B minor pentatonic, because the B minor pentatonic is B, D, E, F sharp, and A.
Okay.
Somebody dropped a glass in the kitchen. So B minor pentatonic are these notes right here, right? These are all the same notes that are found in your A major scale, with the exception of this 6, this F sharp. Well, as soon as you play the interval F sharp against an A minor 7 chord, it sounds very Dorian.
Yep.
So now all of a sudden you're playing an A minor 7 chord, you're playing B minor pentatonic on top of that, and it has this Dorian type of feel. So you want to spice up your playing. There's two easy ways, right? So you can play A minor pentatonic, and then you can play the 5th degree out of that scale, which is the E minor pentatonic, or the 2nd degree out of the diatonic scale of A minor, which is the B, and there's B minor pentatonic, and now you're sounding Dorian. And that's a
we really should learn this stuff at some point.
That's a really easy, but look, that's how simple it is, right? I can't stress enough that if you understand the intervallic formula of a
That's
minor,
my problem. I don't understand the intervallic formula.
Okay, but everything is like you commit it to memory, right? So everything is once you commit it to memory, then you can kind of dive in and do this kind of thing. And listen, if a guy like me can understand it, anybody on the planet can understand it.
Dude, you sound like a genius right now.
No. I'm telling you, if a guy like me, and look, Ben, there's a lot of theory people out here that can explain this in a much deeper context. We probably have guys watching that can explain this in a much deeper context. I just know the way that I use it when it's applicable.
Well, that's like that.
Right?
That's my biggest thing is, like you say, there's so many people that can go deep dive into it. Well, that you're just putting it even further over my head at that point. Whereas what do you do, Ty? I like your playing. What do you do? And he's like, well, I just do this. I'm like, that I get. All right, I do this.
But you know what? If you and I are playing together, and you're playing an A minor 7 chord, and I start soloing using the 5 notes from the E minor pentatonic scale, and you say, well, Ty, what are you playing right there? And I say, well, dude, I'm just playing this E minor pentatonic shape that we all know. Boom, you got it. Because you understand that, because you got to do that live.
You can do that?
Yes.
Wow. Cool.
You can, and this proves it. And if you understand intervals, and intervals are just distances between 2 notes, if you understand and commit yourself to the intervallic thing, then the intervallic formula of each of these things, then you can apply it in a way that advances your playing. You don't have to play Dorian because you want to sound like Carlos Santana. You can play Dorian because that's what you dig, or whatever it is. I mean, play Phrygian if that's what you dig, right? I mean, you could play if you want to get crazy and play an A minor 7.
Those are all Dorian, Phrygian. Those are degrees in the intervals.
They're modes. They're modes, right?
Right.
So they're modes of the major
terms,
scale.
but how they translate to anything, that's where I'm.
Well, think of it as spice, right? So Marshall Stacks, who's got a great name, by the way. Marshall Stacks says, how do I spice up my playing? Man, play an A minor pentatonic and add a raised 6, which is the F sharp. And boom, you're playing in Dorian. And that's killer. And then add that 9, and now you have added more of an A minor 9 feel to the playing, and that's just more spice, right? It's like salt and pepper in a recipe.
Perfect.
And don't make it harder than it has to be. And it always helped me when I was learning these types of things. It always helped me to just kind of chart these things out.
Sure.
And because look, you can use this in building chords too. Because look, so people are like, they're like, well, why should I invest my time into learning that? Well,
cool. That's my.
Well, it helps me. I'm very fortunate to get to play with a lot of different musicians, and it helps me communicate with other musicians.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the primary purpose. So that if I run into a keyboard player, if I'm doing a side gig and I run into a keyboard player and I was like, okay, well, what are you doing in that middle 8th section? And he's going to like drop it on me, right? Because he's a keyboard player and they have to do that. And he says, well, I'm playing an A flat minor 13. So you comp on top of that. Well, man, that's G sharp minor for me, baby. That's a 1, a flat 3, and a 5. So I'll just comp on that. And it doesn't have to be difficult. A flat, G sharp, same thing, right? He said the word minor. That tells me where my 3 sits. So I'll just play triad. I mean, Jimmy and Eddie, we already mentioned Zach tonight. All these guys have already taught us that we can do that. They already gave us like the playbook to do it. So if he's going to drop this A flat minor 13 on you, you can choose what you want to do with that extension. That that higher extension, that 13, which is just it's a higher way to play a 6th, but you can play a triad. I can play a G sharp minor triad, and I'm comping with that keyboard player all day. So it doesn't have to be
It's not
it doesn't
rock
have-
surgery, is what you're saying.
Well, it's got to sound good too, right? So think about this. If you're playing an A minor 7 chord and you just play an A minor pentatonic scale up and down the fretboard like this, it's going to sound robotic. But you can use the notes in this A minor pentatonic scale, these 5 notes, to create a melody, create a melodic line. That's another thing. You asked about spicing up your playing. Create melodies out of these notes that you're applying on top, and create a feeling and a sense of a feeling, an emotion, whatever you're feeling. Hardwood State says, how about chord progressions? A minor to F major. A minor to F major. That to me feels very natural minor. That feels good to me with a natural minor, and then to G major and resolve to E. That feels like an opportunity to use a major minor, like Ben was suggesting. I mean, I can use G major to G minor.
I'm hearing a lot of Neil Young in that chord progression,
and there's opportunities to, there's opportunities to kind of move around in that, and really do create melodic lines and motifs that feel good and sound good to you. But if that chart was put in front of me, Hardwood States, that's probably the first quickest way I would approach that as a player.
Cool.
Sorry for that. I love what Brian just said. He said, slow down and try to make the guitar be a singer. That is such great advice. My guitar teacher was a jazz guy, and he used to have us students study saxophone players. Because, I mean, think about the beautiful instrument that the saxophone. You got guys on the sax, they wail. They're wailing, and they stop. And they're wailing, and they stop. And they wail, and they stop. Why? Because they got to take a breath, right?
Yeah,
so it becomes this musical conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And he taught us about phrasing by emulating saxophone solos. And so you say, hey, man, I'm a rock guitar player, and you're telling me to study saxophone players? Go play some Foreigner songs. Go get Urgent. It's a 4-chord song for the most part. 4-chord song. Go get Urgent by Foreigner and emulate the sax solo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that'll light you up, man.
Clapton plays like a saxophone. I mean, if you watch him play or listen to him play, he does. He does a barrage of notes, maybe not terribly fast, and then he stops. And then he starts again. It's like he's breathing. It's amazing. He does that all the time.
Yep. Yeah. Very true. Very true. That's great stuff. I don't think you bored anybody there, Ty.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It kind of went. I'm sorry. It kind of went that way. But I did. Back to Marshall Stack's question. That's kind of how I look at it. But I would even kind of look at it as if I wanted to spice up a pentatonic, I know I can raise the 6 and make that really cool. Right. And so you say, well, Ty, what's that? Well, that's a half step behind that 7 that you're going to play anyway. Right. So it'd be that F sharp note. I know that that's an opportunity, and I know that B is a really cool opportunity. So, and then I know the flat 5 is a really cool opportunity. That E flat note, that blues. So there's 3 new notes that you can put into any pentatonic scale and blow people's minds.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Janice has some breaking news. She just played at an open jam in a club. Awesome. I'm so jealous right now.
Very cool. Which brings us to one of the next subjects of tours opening up this summer.
Yeah, a lot of announcements in terms of, I'm referencing
hey, Les.
43 concerts and artist tours that you can catch so far announced.
So far
that you can catch this summer. I'm going to read some of these, and I know that some of this isn't I know that some of this isn't in everybody's wheelhouse, but it just goes to show you that live music is back. All right, I'm just going to read some of these announcements that have been made this week. Mark Anthony begins his tour in August. Dierks Bentley, he's beginning his tour in August. Bikini Kill, the Brothers Osborne, Michael Bublé for your sophisticated evening out has announced
December each year.
Has announced a North American tour. Luke Bryan, the Cadillac 3, Dave Matthews, Dead and Company, Deftones, Celine Dion, the Doobie Brothers, Green Day, Fall Out Boy, Weezer, Guns N' Roses, Hall & Oates, John Legend, Kiss is reviving the End of the Road tour, Korn, Stained, Lady Gaga, Machine Gun Kelly, Maroon 5, Matchbox 20, Megadeth and Lamb of God, the Monkees farewell tour.
Wow.
Who's left?
Brad Paisley, Primus, Rage Against the Machine, Chris Stapleton, one of the best singers in music today, Styx, Corey Taylor, James Taylor, and Jackson Brown, the Zac Brown Band, Wilco, all announced for this summer.
I'm throwing in also Lita Ford announced this week. I saw big old tour poster. She's doing a bunch of dates. Great to see back on. But yeah, there's some good acts, and there's some acts going out on the road that don't normally go out on the road. Like you mentioned a few acts there, Ty, that they're heavily on the residency type thing. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, Kurt makes a good point. He says, you know, live music has been missed, and it's been over a year. How? Let me ask you this. This is a real question now. How does a consumer choose? If every musician is touring America, how does a consumer choose who they go see and how many bands they go see? And then what's the tipping point?
Well, I want to go see Gizmachi.
Is Jay going?
Hey, Jay.
Hey, Jay.
I would
Jay's
say
got new T-shirts for sale.
Slightly to sports, Ty. I'm going to look at the depth of the roster. You know, like who are the supporting acts? You know, like if there's 3 different tours that I want to see, but I can only afford one, who else is on that bill? You know, who's filling out the bill? Like if Guns N' Roses is doing the full tour, for instance, that they announced 2 years ago, take my money now. That's it, hands down. You know, but again, like the biggest shock to me there was Celine Dion, because I don't think she's played outside of Vegas in 15 years. Other than the occasional corporate event. Like that's why I'm saying the residency acts are actually going out on the road. That's a big deal. Michael Bublé, like I say, normally he's only around in December because of the Christmas stuff. You know, that's great.
Right.
But that's a good question, Ty. It's a really good question on how do you decide what you want to see. Well, you know, it first of all, it depends on how much money you got, number one.
Yeah.
Number two.
But at what point does the consumer get fatigued? You know, and at what point?
I've seen at least 18 months.
I have friends that go see every concert that comes around here, and they can't get enough.
Therapy lasts. They
just can't get enough of it. But you know what? There comes a time. You're right. There comes a time. It's like, okay, you know, my ears need a break because music is loud. I don't care what's coming off the stage or not. Concerts are loud, and you know, there are tons of people.
I would think too. Like you're wondering, Ty. You mentioned how many well, look at how many people have season tickets to the NFL. You know, let's say 8 games, 8 concerts a year. It's not that many, really. One a month with a few months off.
Like Janice is saying, hey, Janice, good to see you, by the way. Congratulations for getting right back at it with the live music. Regular open mics are happening again in her market. Man, I'm so starved, you know, to like be around, to be around these small groups. You know, small setting, small group of musicians in a room jamming. That would be so fun.
Yeah, I saw announced Lollapalooza today or yesterday.
Yes.
That's a go again, which
Yeah.
is cool to see. Although I still miss it as a tour. Journey's
Yeah.
playing. I never thought I'd see Journey and Lollapalooza together.
Yeah. How about that?
But hey,
Yeah.
it's their gigs, their shows. People are gonna, I think, clamoring for any form of entertainment. Just let me out of the house, please. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely the truth. I mean, you know, the face mask thing is being lifted. People want to get out and get back to whatever normalcy they can grasp to.
Yep.
I think it's a good thing. I think you should still be as safe as possible. But yeah, go out and watch some shows. Take a face mask with you though, and some hand soap, sanitizer.
Yeah, like I keep thinking of that GNR show, because that being a stadium tour, like I think what everybody needs is a hot July day in an open air stadium with a lot of loud rock and roll. You're hot, you're sweaty, you're paying $5 for a bottle of water and glad to do it. And like I said, you know, test everybody as they come in. You know, if you got to open up the gates an extra hour and a half earlier, fine, do it. Everybody's going to be fine with that, patient. And yeah, I think it'd be great. You know, I want to go out and get heat stroke at a concert. You know, I would love to do that.
Well, I plan to catch one of those. I plan to catch one of those July Stadium shows.
There you go. Yep.
Well, I'm envious. I wish I could go with you.
Well, I'm going to catch it on the Tuesday right after your nuptials.
Yeah, I know it. I know it. So, and then Wednesday we'll be able to talk about
it. But yeah, you know, it's back. I'm interested to see how things respond, you know, on the smaller scale too. I mean, there's going to be so much pent up demand right away. How long does that volume, how long is it sustainable?
Right.
And are that many tours on the road at one time? Is that sustainable? I mean, what does that
maybe that'll get us back to the glory days of like the 80s and the 90s, where there was just a dearth of live music everywhere, which is great. You know. Oh, thanks, Taylor.
Yes,
another
Taylor.
top-notch show tonight, guys. You have a great thing going here. Awesome.
Oh, thank you, Taylor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Festivals. Oh, can't believe I miss going to a music festival that bad. You know, just going around checking out the vendors, the food, you know, everything at those events. Love it.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing, is that spin-off, if we can get into these outdoor events like that, you know, where you have the various food vendors and they have, you know, souvenirs and the associated flea market. You know, there's always a guy selling rock and roll belts and, you know, and the necklaces and whatever. It's just people just being out with each other, having fun.
Right.
Very
true. I miss it. Yeah, I miss that. I miss those gatherings.
Mm-hmm.
What was your last concert you saw prior to COVID?
Probably would have been an NAMM show of some kind. Prior to that, literally, I think because I don't go to a lot of concerts, Tom Petty's last tour.
Oh, wow.
2017.
Yep. Which I almost wore that shirt tonight. I'll wear it next week.
Tom Petty. My brother used to say Tom Petty should have been the fifth Beatle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, missed his calling. He was meant to be the fifth Beatle.
Genius. Tom Petty.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
He had hands of gold.
He did. He did. Hey, sis. I remember when the Traveling Wilburys came out. You know, that was right around the time of Tom's first solo album, which was, you know, huge. You know, Tom's everywhere. And for my generation, you know, Traveling Wilburys came out, and I dug them right from day one. And I said, Dad, how come they stuck Tom Petty on bass?
Uh-huh.
And he just giggled and goes, well, Roy Orbison's a complete legend. Jeff Lynne is footing the bill producing the thing too. And you're not going to make Bob Dylan or a Beatle play bass.
Right.
I went, touche, Dad, touche.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Tom Petty was all too happy to play the bass in that band.
Yep.
I would have done
And
it.
I know Dylan did play some bass as well, because you can find some of the footage of them recording. And Bob's playing a Jackson bass, of all things.
Really?
Yeah, it was like a Jackson P bass type thing.
Probably was something that was just in the studio, I would imagine.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, yeah, whatever, I'll play this. I don't care. You know, that's
Dave,
the great
what
thing
was
I've
your-
heard about, like, recording sessions with Bob Dylan. You know, for someone who's Bob frickin' Dylan, no ego in the studio. You know, it's whatever you need, whatever you want me to do, type thing.
That's cool.
Okay.
Dave, what was your last live show that you saw pre-COVID?
Van
Was it Andy
Halen.
Timmons?
No, it was,
What was
yes, Andy Timmons. My last big show was Van Halen in 2015, but yeah, my last show that I saw was Andy Timmons at the Iridium in New York City.
Iridium. Yeah.
Forgot
My
about
last show pre-COVID was right before COVID, and it was a band that I see on every tour cycle. They're one of my favorite live bands, and it's a band called Buck Cherry.
Great band.
I've seen them, man. I've seen them a dozen times at least. Love them. Love that band. Love the live show. The live show is stellar. And saw them right before COVID.
Man, that's cool. Hey, I gotta say, 7 over 8. I should ban you for what you just said. Said that pretty much that Tom Petty's a better drummer than Ringo Starr. Oh my God, how
I like
wrong.
Ringo's drumming.
Ringo is a genius on the drums. It's a genius. Granted, he's no Neil Peart, but he's a genius. How could you say that?
And apparently my sister's making a new seat cover for a stool in her music room. She used an Orange Amp swag bag I gave her from a NAMM show. So that'd be a cool looking stool cover. Right on. I dig it.
Hey, Sean Zimmerman. Good to see you.
What's up, Sean?
Hey,
And
Joe.
Sean, I did show off my amps on one of these shows. Can't remember exactly when it was, but I did show off my pedal board and amps at some point. So if you can scroll back to one of these shows, you'll find it.
Well, we should just do it again. You know, we should do it again sometime, Dave. Yeah, Kurt 5150 likes Buck Cherry too. Everything is a great song. Yeah, man, Buck Cherry, a great songwriters. I like the records. I know that there's been a lot of lineup changes. I was disappointed when Keith left the band, and but you know they've got new music out right now that I think is really killer. I just I like them.
I don't put a lot of credence into lineup changes anymore because, let's be honest, most bands only last 3 to 5 years. In
Yeah,
the grand scheme of things.
I agree. You know, if the Temptations could make amazing music with how many lineup changes have they had
Right.
throughout the years? I mean, they could almost still start. You know, this if maybe 1 or 2 more guys were still alive, they could still be playing.
Sure.
But, yeah, I mean, in their lifespan, they've gone through many changes, and they still sound like the Temptations. They're amazing.
I agree. Nice. And Joe Hervey said last show he saw, I'm going to direct this at you, Ty. He saw Morbid Angel and Suffocation. Those are bluegrass acts, right?
Yeah, for some.
High gain bluegrass.
Listen,
Wow.
man, we're all guitar players here. I mean, the guitar players in Morbid Angel are, I mean, it's pretty stellar.
Yep.
Well, you have to be. Play
Pretty
that.
stellar.
Yeah. I couldn't do it. My fingers would be all twisted up and overlapping each other, and yeah. It wouldn't be pretty. Some great stuff coming in tonight here.
Absolutely.
Dig it.
So, shall we talk some acoustic guitars?
3-man
we have-
acoustic band.
We haven't done that very often, have we?
I don't think we've done it yet.
Let's go unplugged. We talked amps, we talked rack gear, we talked pedals. Let's talk flat tops.
Yeah. Ben, let's see that D28 real quick.
Sure.
Now, what year is
This
that,
was
Ben?
my father's guitar, but my mother would have told you different. This was their guitar because she chipped in on it. I think it's a 1972 Martin D28.
Wow. Nice.
All
Gorgeous.
original, and it's got a little bit of a relic job right in there. That's why there's a decal over top.
Mm-hmm.
And it does have the telltale, the cellular. I got to get the pick guard off at some point. It is starting to lift off. And yeah, and okay, I haven't tuned this thing in a year, honestly. So there it is. Yeah.
Sounds like a
And
cannon. Amazing.
Now the D28, you know, the thing I always love about Martins is, you know, how balanced everything is, right? The perfect amount of lows, the perfect amount of mids, the perfect amount of highs. The D28 is really the cornerstone of their line, right?
Yeah, it's basically, you know, it's their bread and butter. That's the bread and butter right there.
Yeah, I would say what they got the 18, the 28, and the 45, but they probably sell as many 28s as the 18s and 45s put together, Dave.
Yeah, they have a lot more than that. They've got 41s, 42s, 45. Yeah. But you know, basically those are all D28s with a lot of schmaltz on them, like the nicer pieces of wood, nicer pieces of rosewood, the abalone inlays. You know, all the niceties. The extra stuff is on those higher numbers, but basically they start off as D28s and they dress them up.
Hey, Rob Baker, Mark Dillon's here.
Hey, Rob. Hey, Mark.
Amanda says that's the sound of my childhood right there. Yep, we would hear Dad playing on this thing, you know, more than anything else at home, because why plug in a guitar and amp when you would just pull this out? Or the amount of road trips we would be going visiting family friends, and the way you separate my sister and me in the back seat was because this thing in its flight case would have been in the back seat with the headstock going up into the front seat area. Mm-hmm. So, yep, traveled with this thing a lot. So, definitely, you know, family. It's a member of the family at this point, I'd say. So, what do you got, Dave?
Ben.
Well,
beautiful guitar, Ben.
I was fortunate enough, as you all may or may not know, I'm getting married in 2 months, and my beautiful fiance bought this for me as a gift this past weekend, as a wedding gift. And this is a Martin 00018. Now, triple O size is a smaller size than the Dreadnought, which is the D size. It's called an auditorium size guitar. Basically, it's more for fingerstyle guitar, but also really rich sounding. I like the sound of mahogany.
Gorgeous.
I mean, rosewood is amazing too, but I actually like the sound of mahogany acoustic guitars a little bit better. The mid range is more pronounced. It's a bit to me bigger sound. That doesn't mean it's a bigger sound, but to me it sounds a little bigger. The neck at the first fret here is 1 3/4 inch, so it's a little bit wider than normal, which is really comfortable. The neck itself is really comfortable. It's just what a great feel.
Is that a satin finish on the neck?
It is, yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Is that a V-neck as well, Dave?
No, it's not a V-neck.
Okay.
It's a C-neck, which is basically what they have on their core guitars.
Right.
Once you start getting into the vintage style Martins, or the what are they called? The authentic. Sure. What they call the authentic line. Then you get into the V-necks and the headstocks with with the holes in the headstocks that look like they're nylon strings.
Sure.
and this is joined at the 14th fret. You got the authentics that are joined at the 12th fret, so they're more rounded here. But it's been a long time, and this guitar, it just sounds. It's what a love of a guitar. Just. Forgive me with the thing on my finger. Just what a great guitar.
Beautiful.
Sitka
awesome.
spruce top.
Mm-hmm.
Solid mahogany back and sides, of course. The case is amazing. It's like the case they give you is like a $400 case.
Ebony fretboard?
It's an ebony fretboard, yep. Mm-hmm. These are Grover tuners, but they're like the old Waverleys.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How many songs are in that guitar, Dave?
Quite a few. Like I just started playing on the acoustic again, of course. So as you might think, it's not easy. It's not as easy to play as you might think because 12 gauge strings. So I'm used to playing on 9s all the time, or even 10s on the Gibson. It's not easy on the fingers, but boy, it's not as hard as you think either. The action on this is pretty damn low. I don't know if you could see this.
Wow.
I run 11s on my Martin.
Yeah.
For that reason, try to keep it as easy as possible on me.
It came with 13s, but I thought 13s might be a little too heavy because it's a smaller guitar. It's not a dreadnought.
Mm-hmm.
So I put a set of 12s on it, and it's just so even sounding. It's a great guitar. I love it.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Hey,
yeah,
Paul.
beautiful.
Got Paul in here.
Amanda said something that was really moving, Ben. I guess when you were strumming, she said that was the sound of her childhood.
Yep. Yeah, very much. That's it. It also doesn't hurt. We listened to a lot of Neil Young growing up, and David Gilmour, D28 player. And that's the thing. I know the specs of a D28 pretty good, but I don't know a lot about Martin in general, other than the history of the company and stuff. But the specs, that's why I was wondering what kind of neck it had, Dave, and stuff like that, because I just know a V-neck, with an ebony fretboard.
Yeah, sure. Well, they depending on the era is what a guitar is going to feel like, which is, I guess, the case with most anything, I guess. But Martin, especially, back pre-war, the necks were V-necks. They were slightly bigger. And as the years went on, they slimmed down. These necks are a little slimmer. It's not a V. It's really comfortable. It's like a real comfortable Les Paul. This neck.
And I don't think Martin didn't even start putting truss rods in the necks till the 80s.
No, that's not quite true. It was way earlier than the 80s, but you're on the right track there. I don't know the exact year. But it was sometime I believe in the late 60s. I believe.
I don't think that one.
Yes, Martins have gone a very, very long time without truss rods.
Well, so there isn't truss rods. No. Okay.
But this has a truss rod, of course.
Yeah. And I can hear a business card still inside that acoustic, which I guarantee you is my dad's business card from my mom's restaurant.
Wow.
No kidding. Put in the sound hole?
Yeah. He's like, always drop a business card in case the guitar's ever lost. They have a way to return it. Leave a business card in the sound hole.
That's
Hey, Dan. Hey, Paul. Good to see both of you guys.
Hey, Mahogany.
Rob says, this is great. Rob said, my ex-wife bought me an OM42. I kept the guitar, not the wife.
OM42. It's a beautiful guitar. It's got a lot of abalone on it. Very nice. That's basically the John Mayer guitar, OM42. Well, one of them. His signature guitar is an OM28, but with herringbone. But he has a 42 as well, which is gorgeous.
Paul, I saw that. I saw that they were closing that in Milwaukee this year. Pretty big. Are you going to go? Or is that close enough to you that you can go to that gig?
Muddy Waters has a 000 42 marquee. Ooh,
That's very nice.
Very nice. Yeah. I don't have a Martin at the moment. I've got a couple of acoustics, but I don't have a Martin at the moment. I used to have an HD 28.
Nice.
Great guitar. HD 28 is another one of those guitars that are just ridiculous. So good.
It isn't that a 28, but with the pickup system in it?
Yeah, it had electronics.
It probably does. You can get them without, but the difference between an HD and a regular 28 is the bracing and the herringbone inlay.
The herringbone, yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yep.
So, yeah. Other than that,
Amanda's bragging on Dad. That dad of mine is so clever.
Very cool.
So it looks like Paul
Paul
go to that show.
Paul says he's going to that show. That's cool. And Paul, I'm going to see him too. I'm going to see him in DC. And his wife is excited too because GNR was her high school
Which is
crush.
the guarantee. Like which we're saying which concert do you pick?
Yeah.
Who's going to the concert with you, Ty? Because they will have an influence on your choice of which concert you're going to.
That's that's usually the case. But my wife is I'm going to celebrate 21 years tomorrow, my anniversary.
Oh,
And
congratulations!
Happy
anniversary.
21, that makes it legal.
She should get all the congratulations for for being able to tote me around for 21 years. But yeah, she's always very amenable to she'll go with me and see anything. So I'm thankful that way.
Beautiful.
Guitar Man 45 likes Taylor's. He's got a 414 CE and an 816 CE. Man,
Nice.
that's beautiful. I have a 414 CE. That is my main acoustic guitar.
Mm-hmm. And it should be. I mean, it's a great gigging guitar. Those 414s.
So people ask me a lot. They were like, "So why Taylor for you?" And because they're so easy to play. At least for me, I find them very comfortable, very easy to play. Someone asked me one time. They were like, "Hey, listen, they don't have the big booms that Martins do or that Gibsons do," and I'm just thinking, well. But for the applications that I use an acoustic guitar for, it's the perfect guitar for me. And it's amplified anyway. And
Correct.
so that can get, that's controlled that's controlled with EQ. So,
Sure.
Yeah, and they're very sweet sounding, just open and acoustically as well. But you're right, they don't have the boom, but it's like playing an electric with a big body.
yeah. Paul says that he would welcome me into his home if I could make the trip. That is so kind of you to say, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, Guitar Man.
Insuring guitars. Interesting, because I see a lot of people were replying yes, part of their homeowner's insurance. And she was asking, so what if it gets stolen from a gig? Are you covered? I don't think you would be covered under your home insurance, would you?
Well, you can have policies. It depends on what type of policy that you're going to have written out.
Decent guitars, you would probably want a separate policy. And same as when you have an extensive guitar collection, your homeowner's insurance will only go so far. It'll cover, say, a brand new Strat, but not necessarily a vintage Strat.
Yeah, listen, if you have a good
thing, they're like a Strat's a Strat.
That might be a good
guitar,
That might be a good topic for a future conversation because we all have several guitars, right? The three of us,
I know any insurance
all of these viewers in the chat, the people that watch us in replay, understanding the options that you have from an insurance standpoint could be beneficial to a lot of people, and we should we should do that. But if you have questions, I'm not in the insurance business, but if you have questions, you should pick up the phone and call your insurance agent and talk to them about insuring your guitars, and then talk to them about how you use your guitars so that you purchase the right kind of insurance for your guitars. Lars says that he has a Taylor 224 Koa. Do you like Koa acoustics? I love Koa. I love Koa on everything. And but yeah, Taylor does some amazing Koa acoustics.
I went to the Taylor Roadshow once, Ty, when they were still doing. I don't know if they still do them or not, but we had a Taylor Roadshow here locally, and I saw a Koa, all Koa Taylor. So I'm like, I got to play that one. So I played it. I was like, wow, this thing sounds really nice. And Arden's Music locally here was, sponsoring the event, being a Taylor dealer. And my buddy Sean, the owner, walks over. He goes, so you like that one? Yeah. Really like it. He goes, you want me to order you one? I said, well, can you get me a bit of a deal on it? He goes, sure. Yeah. He says, I could get it down to $7,000 Canadian for you. I went, that's okay.
Wow. Hey, like, Jeff, good to see you.
An all Koa Taylor. And we got Mr. Garber in the house. Alan Garber.
Hey, Alan.
Hey, Alan.
Thank you. Johnny gave me this shirt. Very nice of him.
Yeah. Yes, he's a very nice man.
And to follow up on the insurance thing, Amanda, I'm going to talk to Pete Goyer, good buddy of mine who's a guitar player and an insurance agent.
There you go.
That might be a cool guest to have sometime. He's been on my channel, but not talking insurance, that's for sure.
So Guitar Man 45 has a few electrics from Carvin that are Koa. Man, I'd love to see those sometime.
Koa Carvin.
And I'm also interested, Guitar Man, I'm interested what years those guitars are from. I was having a conversation with a guitar friend of mine a few weeks ago about some older Carvin guitars. And so my antenna is up about some of the older models that they used to produce.
You remember when you used to get the Carvin booklet in the mail?
It was a great day, wasn't it? That was a great day when that showed up.
Yeah, I mean, it's back before Fender or Gibson really was like, oh, I got to have either a Fender or a Gibson. Those guitars, regardless of what the name on the headstock, were all gorgeous. Every piece of wood was amazing, and they still are. They still are.
Nice. Jeff K's here.
And they're good guitar. The Carvin guitars, I've played several in recent years. They're really good. They're good instruments.
I have not played one recently.
Marshall Stack is asking, you guys have done a lot of interviews. Will you guys have more guests on? We've been talking about it.
Yes, we will.
Maybe we won't.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We will.
We're taking a little time off to spend some time with you all, or y'all.
We have enjoyed spending time with you guys so much, and doing what we're doing right now with this type of interaction and engagement that we did hit the pause button on some guests, but we've got more guests coming up. We're not quite ready to begin announcing who's coming, but none of you will be disappointed, I assure you.
I agree. Yeah, Terry sent me a link to a Koa Gretsch the other day. Oh, that was cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, I love all things Koa, and my good friend Scott, who's been on Nez Says, he was telling me about how difficult Koa is to get right now, and as a result, the cost that's associated with getting Koa is difficult, because my understanding is that it only grows in one place.
Why?
Right. Yep. Well, they joked about that at the Taylor Roadshow. They said because to cut down a Koa tree, basically it has to be on like private property. The homeowner has to agree to it. Some local magistrate of some kind has to approve as well. And they basically said, look, when a Koa tree falls, Wayne Taylor hears it fall. So, because he's the largest purveyor, and I think he's got like he literally went around the island, or some representative said, here's a Taylor business card. If you ever decide to cut down this tree, call us. We'll buy it.
Now, I'm surprised that it's not Paul Reed Smith being the largest Koa guy, because his library of wood is insane.
Mm-hmm. It might, that was 5-6 years ago, so it may have changed since then. But at that time, I guess Taylor was buying a lot of Koa up.
Guitar Man 45 answered my question. He said, first one, 78. He did the DC 160 Koa quilt. Wow, man. I'd love to see that. And he kept buying, continued through the 80s, and now has at least 18 of them. If you ever want to come on, Guitar Man, and show us some of your favorites from your collection, we would all love to see them.
Yep.
And Rob answered the question about the rider. He said that he thought it was called a high value rider to his existing policy, that he added that as insurance. He says he thinks that's what it was called. That's what it's called. Yeah.
And if you are looking to have your guitars insured, make sure they're all appraised as well.
Correct. Well, for insurance, they'll require that.
Yeah. And you can find appraisers around. I don't know if there's still one here locally or not. My buddy Pat, who used to own a music store, he was a guitar appraiser as well for years. And he dealt in a lot of high-end stuff.
Yeah, Dwight says he's got a guild that's all Koa. Love to see that. Dwight, you got to do a video with your all Koa guitar, man. I love your videos, as you know. Yeah, Paul's chiming in too, Guitar Man. He wants to see your collection.
Mm-hmm. And hello to Lars Guitars and Stephen Douglas.
Yeah, hey, Stephen.
Hey, Stephen.
I don't know the answer to that. Do you know the answer to that, Dave? Do you see Stephen's question? Can you put that on the screen?
Yeah.
It's possible.
Isn't Taylor the forester and keeper of most of ebony now? And the reason why striped ebony is becoming more popular. I wish I knew that answer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It sounds like it could be. I mean, Taylor uses a lot of that wood, and it would make sense. But, again, Paul Reed Smith also has this humongous library of all these exotic woods that I wouldn't be surprised if Paul was up there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, speaking of PRSs, you guys may have seen this video that got posted. I wish I could remember the name of
What's his name? Larson, the guy Larson. He just got his new guitar from Paul.
Music is Win is his channel.
Yeah,
right?
Tyler Larson.
And they built his dream guitar. I mean,
that
is breathtakingly gorgeous.
That's
and
right.
You were and we were talking about striped ebony.
Yeah.
Goodness, the ebony on that fingerboard,
mm-hmm.
the purple flame. What a guitar!
One piece body, and it sounds.
What a beautiful instrument.
Let me see if I can get a picture of it up here.
Tyler's a great guy too, so well deserved.
Yeah, it really is beautiful.
Get where he is.
What's his name? Tyler Larson.
Yeah,
his channel is called Music is Win.
Yeah. I was run into him.
Rob said Tung Oil Koa was the hot ticket with Carbon. They were sweet. I remember that. I wish I had one. I don't have one.
And my sister is shamelessly plugging my hangout this coming Sunday because it's my birthday hangout, because my birthday's on Saturday. So thanks for
congratulations. Happy birthday early.
Yeah, another year older. Definitely not any wiser, Ty. Definitely.
But you're funnier.
Well, that's true. As knowledge escapes, humor takes its place, I swear.
Howface is here. Good evening, Howface. Good to see you, man. On Instagram, look for Kimball Woods, whom Big D Guitars mostly gets his woods through. Post up some videos, post about wood types, grades, cuts, and also cost.
Wow.
Man, that's good advice, Terry.
There's that guitar.
Yeah, that's breathtaking.
Like, you know it's flamey when it blends in with the case. You know?
Look at this fretboard.
Wow.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. He can build a nice guitar, no doubt.
Great color. That color is like purple blue jeans.
That color is amazing. You know, my favorite PRS color for eons was the faded blue jean.
Yeah.
Forever. That and the yellow tiger. But that color there takes the cake.
I remember when everybody went to that faded blue jean look a few years ago, you know, like Gibson went heavy on it. No, it looks good on a Paul Reed Smith. It doesn't look right on a Les Paul. It looks right on a Paul Reed Smith, I thought.
For a long time though, when they were doing the faded blue jean on the Eagle.
Yeah, the Modern Eagle 2, I think, right?
Eagle. After a while, that color faded, like it would go away. It would look like almost like a white guitar after a while.
I've seen some of the Modern Eagle 2s that were in gray that were pretty amazing as well. And I dug how some of that pigment faded. Over the years, I thought pretty classy.
I had a gray Modern Eagle 2 for a little while. Great guitar.
Joe says he wants a blue burst. Has 2 guitars but no burst. 2 blue guitars.
Gotta have a burst in your life of some kind.
Dave, how long did you have your Eagle?
I had it for like a year, and then a buddy of mine came in here, played it, and offered me some stupid money for it. So I said, okay.
Yeah.
Just, I didn't play it as I played the guitar, but I didn't play it as much as I played my Les Paul. And to me, it was like for the money he was giving me, he could have just bought one. So I took the money and bought. I don't remember what else I bought with it, but I bought something else with it.
Sure. Yeah, I've never had a Modern Eagle. I've had lots and lots of PRSs, but I've never had a Modern Eagle.
I love the rosewood neck, the all rosewood neck on it. It was just a great guitar.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's something about a rosewood neck. They're a unique beast. I got to play a couple last year. Really enjoyed it.
The only guitars I've ever had with all rosewood necks have been Music Man guitars. And I want to say that was, all those guitars are amazing. I want to say it was probably around 2012, 13, where they were producing some models with all rosewood necks.
Ask away, Joe. A few questions today about Tele. Never had one try with a P90, so maybe a P90 in the bridge. I don't know what for the neck. When people use a lot of single P90s, it's quite often I see a lot of P90s in the neck, humbucker in the bridge combos. Reverend is big on doing that. Who else? I've seen it. Trust me, I've seen it. Honest. But yeah, let alone a Tele with a P90. Well, that's a rare breed, you know. I happen to know a guy who has a few.
Don't you have one?
I do. That's what I was hitting at. My signature guitar. Oh. Bingo bango. Although this is a mahogany body as well. I wanted a mahogany body. So it's basically, it's very tonally similar to a Les Paul in many ways. A vintage Les Paul, that is.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
So it's a P90 for a budget price. Says 300. Ooh.
I don't know if you could find one.
Maybe. The guitar that Terry recently refinished, Harley Benton, I think makes a P90 gold top Les Paul copy at around that price point. I think that's about the cheapest guitar with a P90 you're going to find.
Paul, I've gigged with a couple of those guitars. Albert Lee Music Mans. They're phenomenal guitars. I think the shape is so cool. Makes me feel cool when I put one of those guitars on. I've played the 3 single version, and I've played the hum single. They're great guitars. I've never played the dual humbucker version though.
It's funny.
Great guitar. I really like the neck shape on that guitar. Really like it.
I had a candy apple blue. I know you tell me it's not that. That's not the name of the color, but I had a blue Albert Lee years ago with 3 singles, and that number 2 position, that Strat, Sultan's a string sound. You couldn't get it. It doesn't. No other guitar in the world sounds better than that guitar doing that.
Yeah, they're really great guitars.
I don't know what they do with those pickups to make that number 2 sound so amazing, but it just sounds like Knopfler. It sounds like you're playing Sultans of Swing right there.
Nice. Yeah, that Mariposa, Paul, I just love it. Love it.
Yeah, Terry mentions, the Harley Benton SC450 GT P90 is around $150 US plus shipping. Basswood body, maple top, and neck.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
G&L, a Blues Boy 90. G&L Blues Boy 90.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
G&L guitars are great guitars.
Yep.
I like to have them better used.
I used to have a Rampage.
Oh, nice.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, it was a fun guitar.
Back when I worked at Manny's Music, we had Fender, we had G&L, we had all the major companies, but G&L always would do these where you can win something. And basically, the more we did it every Christmas holiday for the month of December. The person that sold the most G&Ls would win whatever G&L they would want. And you got to realize that G&Ls, at least the American ones, are all handmade. It's a small custom shop. It's not. They're not expensive. They're not terribly expensive, but they are handmade custom guitars. So. But they're not easy to sell if you're selling them in a music store. People would want to know why should I buy a G&L over an American Standard Strat? Well, because first of all, the G&L is handmade, and you can't really compare it to an American Standard Strat. You would probably want to compare it to a custom shop Stratocaster. And for the amount of money you get for a G&L, it's worth it because it's a handmade guitar. They'll make you whatever you want, and they're just great sounding, great feeling guitars. But the downside to them is it doesn't say Fender on the headstock, even though Leo Fender started the company.
Mm-hmm. Well, so, Joe, once you get your guitar, you'll have to come on and show it to us, whatever you decide to do. Yeah, I always wondered about that, Dave. Like, I always wondered about the traction of the G&L brand because every G&L I ever picked up was a great guitar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're great guitars. You play them, you're like, man, this is amazing, and then you put it down and you kind of forget about them.
And they have no resale value. It's a crime how low the resale value is. That's why
it is a crime.
They said, I love G&Ls. I said, I love me more used because you pick them up for a song.
James, it did indeed have a Kaler, and I never had a problem with it. I know Dave's going to give me some grief about it because we've had this conversation before, but he and I have. But it did. It had a Kaler.
Well, here's my thing with Kalers. The only thing I don't like about them is that the metal is just, it's softer than a Floyd Rose. That being said, it's 2 totally different locking tremolos. You can't do on a Floyd Rose what you can do with a Kaler. They're just so smooth. There's something about a Kaler that's so smooth that you can't do with a Floyd Rose. That being said, there's stuff with a Kaler that you can't do that a Floyd Rose does. And there are two different two
They
different.
felt different too.
There are two different camps. There are those that love Floyd Rose and don't like Kaler, and there are those that love Kaler and don't like Floyd Rose. So it's
I like guitars that stay in tune. So if all of those things are working together and the guitar stays in tune, I'm in, man. I mean, that's what's important to me, that the guitar stays in tune.
Sure.
Now, I have my little preferences that I like in guitars, but if they're staying in tune, they're gonna serve my purpose. And that the Rampage that I had stayed in tune. And Stephen asked which Taylor. I wouldn't be able to tell you. This is I don't know.
Terry
always liked the Steeler.
Terry thinks Flipside Music in Denver is a G&L dealer. Yes, they are, Terry. They are a G&L dealer.
Hal says that he worked at a G&L dealer. The finish of G&L turns some people off. It's just a preference thing.
I don't know about that. I mean, I guess it's all subjective. But as far as I'm concerned, G&L had and has the best sparkle finishes on the planet. If you look at their sparkle, guitars, they are ridiculous. The sparkle is so big you could have your dinner off of a piece of it.
I like sparkle guitars, man. I got a weak spot for sparkle guitars.
They're red. They have a red sparkle. They have a green sparkle. Of course, they're silver sparkle. The John Jorgensen color. All of their sparkles are just crazy, and it's not just like a candy apple finish. It screams sparkle.
Full on bass boat.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for sparkle finishes.
Mm-hmm.
For a live guitar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's great in the bedroom player too, Ty. Sparkle. It improves tone by 14% and your confidence by 23%.
Something to be said. Something to be said about that. We were having this conversation. When were we talking about this? A week or two ago, where we were talking about how some guitars make you play different.
Yep.
And it's because, it's the confidence thing, right? I mean, it's when you have a guitar in your hand,
off your shoulders.
Yeah, man. I mean,
it's more free to play. Yep.
You know what I find very funny about what Ben just said is that if I would have said that, I would catch nothing but hell saying that exact thing. And Ty, you know exactly what the hell I'm talking about. And Ben can get away with saying, yeah, I don't know, Rosewood sounds super bright. Not mahogany sounds much more muddy than rosewood. And he'll get away with that. Me, forget it.
Roasted.
I just find it funny. So any of you in the chat that want to leave comments, give him some help, will you?
Blame this guy. Yeah. And I won't even tell you how tortoiseshell guards increase your picking speed by 8%.
Steven says he started with Floyd's as a kid, and then progressed to strap bridges, to fixed bridges, tellies, to finally come full circle back to Floyd's. And he plays 90%, and he plays Floyd's 90% of the time now. That's cool, man.
He kind of went the opposite way, right? Most of us start with a hardtail, dip our toes into a fulcrum bridge, and then go full into the Floyd Rose. He's like, nope, I'm going right in the deep end. Why not?
I mean, Stephen brings up a really good point that oftentimes we tend to return to where we started.
That's right.
I mean,
look at that wall behind me, wherever it is. It's right there. Everything on that wall has a Floyd Rose on it. It's crazy.
Jeff, this is really interesting. He says he has a PRS Tremonti, not loving it after 1 year, he was hoping for more of a Les Paul vibe without spending $2K. Am I better off putting in different pickups or looking into a 2020 Epi Les Paul? I'm going to let I'm going to hand that to you, Dave. Because it's a good question, and there's a couple of different ways.
It is a good question, and the only reason I'm afraid to answer that is because it's subjective.
That's completely true.
I can
Without
tell
knowing how
I
that
can tell you
guitar
what I would
sounds,
do. I could tell you what I would do, but what I would do might not be what is good for you. I would stick with the PRS. I mean, I just think that first of all, you can change the pickups and make and kind of make the guitar sound you want it to make. I think the quality of the PRS is better than the Epiphone. That's not saying Epiphone is bad quality, but I think you can't beat the quality of a PRS, especially in the lower lines like the SE. So I'm thinking, and it's a single cut guitar to begin with. So I'm thinking if you put a good set of pickups that you want, that you know sound good, that you know will sound good in that guitar, I would do that.
yeah. Well, that's what I'm wondering. Like, without playing one of them myself, if you like the feel of the neck, you like the balance, the weight of the guitar, and the only thing that you don't like is the tone of those pickups. Yeah, by all means, start playing around with some pickups. But if you find the neck isn't quite right as well for you, well, then go play an Epiphone. Don't buy it. Play one just to see if you like, oh, yeah, that's more ergonomic to me. Or you might be like, my God, this thing's worse. So, I would probably, like you've had it for a year and you're playing it. So I'm guessing the neck feels all right. So I would definitely put some Gibson pickups in it. Yeah, I said it. Gibson pickups in a PRS. If you want more of a Les Paul feel,
take this with a grain of salt. If you're not loving it, life's too short to play it. If you want more of a Les Paul vibe, get something with more of a Les Paul vibe. You'll be happier in the long run. If you play a 2020 Epiphone Les Paul and that feels better to you, that's your guitar.
Then that's your guitar. Yeah.
If that's going to make you more creative and make you dig in and most importantly, which guitar is going to make you pick it up more and play it? And if it's that 2020 Epiphone Les Paul, that's yours. You can change, because at the end of the day, you can always change and modify and do all of this kind of thing, but you don't want to return back to the point where you're just like, now I've had it 2 years. I've put $400 more money into it, and I'm still not loving it because I want that LP vibe.
Yeah, it might absolutely be that you just want something different. Mm-hmm. Maybe you want a Les Paul style guitar. And maybe you're just kidding yourself saying you don't like the sound of the pickups. Maybe you just don't like the guitar. And you're just giving yourself reasons, or excuses to go get another one. Go get another guitar. If you want it, if you want a Les Paul, get a Les Paul. If you want a PRS, get a PRS.
Get a PRS.
That being said, if you have the funds to do it, if you have the means to do it, then go do it.
Most importantly, get the guitar that feels best to you, regardless of what the brand is on the headstock or how it's marketed to you or how it's sold to you. Get the thing that feels best, that to your ear sounds best, that get what's going to move you. Stephen, good question.
Never a dumb question, Stephen.
A good quality Strat copy that has a slightly smaller body.
Oh, that's easy. The Silver Sky. The
right.
Sky. It's got a smaller body, and it's a great sounding Strat. It's $2,300, but it is a great Strat.
Aren't they doing a more affordable version of that, but they're not calling it a Silver Sky now?
I haven't seen it out yet. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the Music Man Cutlass would also be an option. Smaller body.
Okay.
And I think it comes in different pickup configurations. Sean Zimmerman says Jackson Dinky. I love Dinkies, man.
But do they make a 3 single coil Dinky?
I don't know.
I don't think so. That's what I was thinking. I think they're either a double hum or a HSS configuration.
Yep.
I think. I don't.
Steven says he can't do 7 1/4 radius, though. I don't blame him.
Well, I mean, if money is not an object, Stephen, and I don't know why it wouldn't be, it's an object for everyone. But if it wasn't that big of a deal, then get the neck planed and refret it. If you love the guitar, get the neck plane flatter and refret
And he
it.
was looking at the Cutlass as well. He said that.
Yeah, I mean, I've played a lot of those guitars, and look, I'm a big Music Man fan. I mean, everybody knows that. So,
I think we all appreciate Music Man guitars.
Yeah.
And bass.
Squire Affinity, as much as it's low end, it's a thinner strap body. Terry says
They have started getting thinner. Yeah, dimension wise, it's still the same length and width, but they have started narrowing the bodies a bit. Which, yeah, why not?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
For that matter, you can go with the Ibanez, the S series.
Yeah.
The S series is very small.
Yeah. Randy says the PRS has the new Fiore coming out.
I'm interested in trying one of those. That is a super cool guitar, man.
They look great.
I'm interested in trying one.
Mm-hmm.
Steven says, good point about the re-radius of the Silver Sky. Yeah, I mean, you can do whatever you want. You know, you don't have to keep it stock. You know, at that point, if you're gonna play in the fretboard, get the frets you want in it, and then you got a Silver Sky that's a super strat that you can do 2-step bends on, because with that 7 1/4 radius, it's very hard to do 2-step bends with low action. It just frets out.
True. The other option is to buy a really beat up Strat and get really aggressive with the 80 grit sandpaper for about an hour and a half, and that'll shrink the body right down in no time.
Kurt 5150
like,
says,
I'm not doing that, Ben. I'm not doing that. And Dave's like, I'm glad I didn't say that.
Kurt says, Music Man Luke 2. That's a great guitar. 12-inch radius. Great guitar. Comes in a hum single and a hum. Great guitar. The Luke 2 comes with one of my favorite pickup configurations of all time, which is an EMG 85 and 2 EMG SAs. Phenomenal sounding guitar. The EMG pickups are very, very, very versatile. I mean, Lukather uses the guitar. Used the guitar for decades. Okay, I mean that's all you got to know. It's extremely versatile guitar.
Exactly. I like Laz's idea. If it's a bolt-on, just get another neck.
Or just get another neck, yeah. But he was looking for a smaller body. You know, he wants
buy a Silver Sky and swap out the neck. Sure.
Well, that could be.
I don't think he can. I think it's
challenging.
I think it's a proprietary neck joint.
Mm. Yeah, and PRS doesn't do a lot of bolt-on necks, do they?
Well, they do. They do the SE, the CE line.
Right.
But I think that's also a different
different neck pocket types. Yeah. Interesting.
Cool.
Yeah. Terry G says Ryan Bruce used to be a Gibby Les Paul kind of guy. Now he's mostly using Ernie Balls these days.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You used to also
that's why they make so many guitars. I mean, there's a lot of different ones to try and play, and they all make you play a little differently, right? I mean, I certainly play a Strat differently than I play a Les Paul. Somehow I always tend to gravitate back to a Les Paul, even though when I wanted to play guitar, I wanted a Super Strat, but I ended up with a Les Paul, and it's just what I'm stuck with.
Nothing wrong with that.
It's my guitar.
Mm-hmm. Nothing wrong with that, man. Good Les Paul. Everyone should have a good Les Paul, I think.
Yep.
That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, all he needs a Les Paul and a Telly. You can get any gig in the world, I think, Dave. Isn't that how it works?
Now you've gone way too far.
Just
You're killing
Somebody
me.
told me that once.
Look, let's
I
qualify that. We're laughing but let's qualify that. I think everybody that's watching this live and people that are going to watch this on the replay understand that most of what we say, maybe not the intervallic formula of the A minor scale. Okay, that's not subjective. That just is. But most everything else we say is completely subjective, and everything has relative meaning to us. Please do not interpret anything we say as it being guitar gospel.
Dave's going to start doing a disclaimer about the views and opinions of Ben Coombs do not reflect those of the Nez Says channel and its affiliates.
Listen, I really, our preferences are the same as yours in that a lot of our opinions are based on our own individual experiences, which are going to be very different than your own individual experiences. So while we may agree on some points, it is completely okay to disagree in other areas. And that's where growth occurs, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I have a difference of opinion with Dave about something or with Ben about something, understanding their position helps me grow.
Same here.
I might not like it and I may never do it, but the more that I can understand it, certainly gives me a deeper level of understanding, if not for any other reason than further justification for my own position. Right. So please take all of this as lighthearted, subjective.
But Paul's right. Dave's Les Paul advice does come with 22% more tone.
There you go.
And I'm going to also qualify with this as my life experiences have given me what I know. But that being said, I can be wrong at the drop of a hat. And I'm wrong a lot of times. I'm wrong. I can be wrong. I'm not the know-all, be-all that everyone that the people seem to think I am when it comes to guitars and gear. I know a lot because I've had a lot of experience. Do I know everything? Nobody knows everything. And there are times when I am absolutely wrong. And I apologize.
I love Joe's comment. He says everyone sucks.
Yep.
Music therapy labs. Great advice. It's guitar playing. We're not talking about rocket science. We're talking about having fun, and I agree.
Art.
That's why we're all doing this. And
Jeff K,
look,
he says it's all about trying to achieve that sound in your head, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Decades have been spent trying to get that tone that's in here out there.
And Joe Harvey is absolutely right. I am the best.
So true. And hello to Mickey Settlemeyer. Great to see
hey,
you,
Mickey. Yeah, good to see you. And we appreciate all of you guys, hanging with us. And listen, and I mean this. I mean, the three of us have talked about comments that are made in this chat or comments that were left in the comment field of some of these videos. The things that you guys say are just as meaningful, compelling, and important
and valid
as what any of us are going to say.
I fully agree, Ty and Dave, on that. Like, I'm thinking usually once a show, given a 2-hour show, once during a show, all three of us will be 80% sure on something, but it's somebody in the chat that will do a quick Google search to confirm it, or say, no, you're full of malarkey.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we're full of malarkey tonight. Sure.
Yeah.
I just want to say malarkey. That's just
say it again.
Malarkey.
Don't they make strings? Dean Malarkey?
Yeah, those malarkey strings, 8% more tone.
I love it. Chasing the tone is fun. Funnest part is that you'll mess up your ears cranking up the Marshall looking for that tone. Suddenly the tone changes and then you're chasing it again. It's exactly right, Lass. I mean, that's exactly it. And I will tell you that the older I get, the more and I use this word very lightly, but the older I get and the more mature that my playing becomes, I'm finding out that it's less about what I'm playing and much more about how I'm playing it. And there are so many things that I still want to do as a player. And we create all of these opportunities for ourselves. And so everybody's on a different journey, which that's what the beautiful thing about this community is, because Ben may say something that helps me further my journey. Dave may tell me something that points me in a direction where I can pursue my journey. We're all on a different path, and we need to remind ourselves and stop and smell the roses sometimes and say, I like where I am, but I still want to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And I think too, as guitar players, we can tend to be a bit hard on ourselves. We are our own worst critics.
Oh,
right?
definitely.
There's always
And
something
like
we
you
can
say,
learn.
Ty, when it comes to chasing tone, I was just looking at my pedal board. It's like the shore of a sandy beach. It's ever changing for that reason.
My son is a beginner guitar player. He's a 17-year-old beginner guitar player. And you know what he teaches me every time he plays guitar? He's been playing for about a year now. You know what he teaches me every time he plays the guitar is this love and this excitement in learning something new and how to apply it. And it's just a stark reminder for me as a more experienced player that's the reason that you picked up the instrument in the first place.
Right.
It's great.
So Randy Crooks has a quick question. Favorite acoustic, guys? We went through this already tonight, but we'll do it again.
That right there, my D28. Well, any D28, but
My Martin 0018.
My favorite acoustic that I own is a Yari Masterworks Jumbo.
Nice.
Alvarez,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Early 90s.
I'd like to see that guitar.
Well, hold on. I'll go get it.
Well, he goes and gets it just for Laz. I'll say shenanigans. We do that too.
Yeah.
You gotta have a little shenanigans in every once in a while.
Lots of that over here.
And Joe says he's under 40 himself. He's been getting into some blues and classic rock. And excuse me, I think a lot of it, not just us, but this community in general. I remember, Joe, when you came on the scene, because I wasn't on the scene much longer, and Joe was through and through metalhead. That's it. And we started chatting this and that, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to try doing this. I'm going to try doing that. And I think he bought a Strat copy, and he would have never thought about getting even a single coil guitar until then, which is great.
Absolute Mayhem asked if I ever gave guitar lessons. I give them from time to time. And yes, I've given lessons to some celebrity musicians as well.
I'd say you're more of a tutor than a teacher, Dave. Like I would come to you. I have this situation I need to prepare for. Can you help me? And you're great at doing that, as opposed to walking someone through the first 5 Mel Bay books, for instance.
Right. I think Ty is that guy. Ty is more of a teacher, and I'm more of a tutor.
Yeah.
I'm no teacher. I'm a player.
Well, okay, but you can be a player and a teacher as well.
But come on, Ty, the key to being a good teacher, you only have to be one lesson ahead of your students.
I guess that's true, right? Yeah. I have been teaching a lot of solos lately. Like people have reached out and asked to learn specific solos, and I've encouraged the student in those situations that okay, here, I'm going to teach you what's going on, where to put your fingers and what notes to play and what techniques that are used and how to play it. But let's try to grasp how all of this kind of stuff fits together, and hopefully there's a takeaway on both sides. Okay, so I've got a couple of acoustics, and this one's my favorite. It's an older guitar. It is a Yari Masterworks built in Japan in the 90s. It is a jumbo. It is giant. and it is one heck of a guitar. It does have a bags system
Nice.
installed with an input jack right here in the lower strap button. Absolutely great guitar. It has had some. It is completely retired at this point. It has sustained some injuries, but it's
What? Ty, you caused an injury to a guitar?
it's back. Me and an airline.
Well,
But it's back in it's back in business. It's all back together. So, yeah, it was in a unfortunate conveyor belt accident.
ooh.
But I'm glad it's still with us.
Mm-hmm.
Tuning stability is not quite what it once was. But there's a lot of gigs on this guitar. There's a lot of I don't know if it's transferring on camera, but there's more dings and worming and chips and buckle rash, and there's a lot on that guitar.
It looks brand new over here.
Yeah, I was
Does
gonna say
it-
it looks damn
does it look
perfect
good?
on camera.
It looks brand spanking new over here.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great. I'm glad she holds up well.
He's got that special guitar filter on the lens tonight. Takes out all checking, dings, swirls. That
Oh
looked
man,
great.
I just think that this was not my first really nice acoustic guitar. Remember when Takamine was like the gigging acoustic guitar, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
way
sure.
back in the early '90s, and I had a Takamine that was super super nice, and then I had a chance to get this, and that was great. But right now, when I'm out, I use a 414 CE by Taylor. That's an incredible playing guitar.
The Takamine you had, was that a Santa Fe?
Dave, I'd have to look it up. I don't know that I remember. It was so long ago.
I think the two nicest Takamines that they've ever made was the Santa Fe model, and they make a different version of it every year. They make like a special Santa Fe every year. And the Garth Brooks model. I know you laugh, Garth Brooks, ha ha ha, but his guitar, that Takamine, is one hell of a guitar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fun. Most people don't know what these Alvarez Yari guitars really are. But don't sleep on one. If you get a chance, and if you see this logo on a headstock of an acoustic guitar, if you see that, look in the sound hole, and if you see it's by Yari in the sound hole, and you look underneath it, and if it's a master built guitar, don't sleep on it. Get it. A lot of people don't know what these are.
Well, they do now, Ty.
Well, they can go to Reverb and get them. I encourage everybody to get one if you can get one. They're great. They're really
Josh
great.
Scott. Dropping knowledge. Nice.
Thank you, Laz. That's very nice of you.
Ty, you want to give a mic drop on that last statement you said?
What did I say?
Yeah.
About get one if you can find one, get one.
Drop.
Yeah.
Drop the mic on.
Drops
There you go.
SM58.
Drop it.
Right in the sound hole.
Taylor 315 says Malmsteen's favorite acoustic is a Yari. I didn't know that. That's cool because he plays Ovations live, right?
Yeah, he plays an Ovation Viper.
Yeah. Oh, Halface is in. He knows Yaris are awesome. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. Look in the sound hole. Make sure there's a business card in it.
You behave, Terry.
Well, guys, it was awesome tonight. What a
It was
fun
a fun
night.
night.
It was a great show tonight. We had lots of great questions in the chat here. We covered, everything from acoustics, electrics, insurance, effects pedals, rack gear, tone woods, if you will. Koa versus rosewood versus mahogany. Yeah.
Mayhem says he thought Yaris were bad Russian cars.
Hey, you better take that back because I'm going to get yelled at for that.
I think you're
Michael
thinking
B,
of
thanks for
Yuri.
hanging out, man. Good night. Good to see you. Paul, good.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging, man. Terry, good to see you, man. Terry Hines.
Yeah, it's great seeing everybody in here tonight. Great comments, questions. Thanks to the mod squad for helping us out, and those who donated to the channel, always appreciated. Goes right back in. Dave won't tell you, but I will. Bet Tom's here.
Tom, hey man, good to see you, Tom.
Nice to see you.
Perfect. He's probably lurking. He's that guy had the best prescription from his doctor. Sleep. That's what he's told.
Oh, yeah.
Sleep as much as you can.
Can't beat it.
Yep.
Sleep heals all wounds.
Yep.
Last,
Yeah,
Terry
Tom.
Mayhem, thank you for modding. Thank you very much.
Yes, and send any negative feedback to me, not to him. No. Just saying.
All right. Well, anyway, if you guys have any comments at all, leave them below. I read them every day. Believe me, I read them and I do answer them. Even if you don't like my answers, I do answer them. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you like it, if you haven't already done so. If you have any friends or family that may like this content, please let them know about us and ask them to like and subscribe the channel. I'll be doing a guitar of the week tomorrow morning. I don't know what the guitar is going to be, but it'll be a lot of fun. And that'll be out by the beginning of next week. And we will see you next Wednesday.
Yep.
And Ben, have
Yeah.
a happy birthday.
Thank
Yes,
you very
Ben.
much.
Big
And,
weekend, buddy.
Yes,
Maybe
you're
we'll-
aboard on Sunday night, folks. I'm going live on my channel 8 p.m. doing the annual birthday hang. And if you've seen one of them before, you probably don't remember it afterwards. So perfect. It's going to be a lot of fun, and nobody has to drive. Perfect. And that's right, Paul. Dave does get 67 more tone grapes.
Absolutely. And we'll do a birthday show for you next week. How about that?
Sounds good to me, brother.
All right. Ty and Ben, have a great weekend. Everyone in the chat, thank you so much. And we will see
Thank
you
you.
all soon. And just keep playing guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
On that note, goodbye.